everyone, it's Katya with Hindustan Astrology here, and in today's video, we are going to discuss the month of September 2025 Vedic sidereal astrology. So this month, we have several planets changing signs, such as Mercury going into Virgo, where he is exalted. We have Venus going into Leo, and Mars is finally exiting Virgo and going into Libra. So hopefully that will bring some peace. But the big news is that we have our eclipses. We have both the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse this month. Now, they're not, it's not too incredibly intense. I feel like this eclipse season won't be as harsh as it has been the past year. But it's still eclipse season, so it is time for us, to rid what doesn't serve us. And this is the year of the snake in Chinese astrology as well. So a lot of us are really shedding our skins and letting go of baggage that we no longer need. So without further ado, let's take a look at this month's presentation. Okay, so for our picture for this month, I have one of my favorite hammock pictures because the solar eclipse is in Virgo, Uttara Falguni, and the symbol for that is the hammock, and also the back legs of the marriage bed. So, the hammock represents not just coming together with your beloved, but also enjoying leisure time. And so, I feel like that's going to be something that we all greatly need, especially during this eclipse season. Okay, so for the first major aspect for this month, we have on September 6th at 12:52 a.m. EST, Uranus goes retrograde at 7 degrees, 14 minutes of Taurus Kritika. So up here. And notice that this happens, right after midnight on the 6th. And then the next day at 2 o'clock, we have our full moon total lunar eclipse. So definitely Uranus is going to be influencing this eclipse. So let's talk about Uranus for a second. He is the great awakener. He's like a lightning bolt that comes and shatters your perception, but also he is, you can represent brilliance, that kind of eureka moment when you get something or understand something. And Uranus, he rules because of lightning, thunderstorms and earthquakes and things like that. And in Taurus, for sure, we are going to have more earthquakes, I feel. And we'll get into the eclipse in a minute, but, when he goes retrograde, whenever any planet goes retrograde, they are actually stronger. I know it seems counterintuitive, but they slow down and then they become brighter in the night sky. And so they have more impact upon us. And, Uranus is going to be in Taurus for a while. And historically, whenever he's been in Taurus, the U.S. has been at war. Okay. So I do feel that things might be brewing up because we have Saturn's third aspect onto Taurus. And he's retrograde and with Neptune retrograde, which is also going to show storms, especially concerning water. But also, as the great awakener, he awakens our mind. And these two planets together, Saturn and Neptune, both retrograde, represent truth being revealed, especially concerning cults. It's kind of like, Neptune can really obscure the truth. And with Saturn there, we have to work hard to understand the truth of reality. We have to work hard to make our dreams a reality as well. But having this aspect on Uranus as he goes retrograde is definitely going to affect our total lunar eclipse the next day. So let's take a look at that. And, he goes retrograde for, I think, 4 or 5 months, something like that, maybe 6. I can't remember. But it will be impactful. Okay. And, for the United States, Taurus is the sixth house. So basically, this Uranus going retrograde is really going to impact the lunar eclipse. Hopefully, it will be more about peace than war. That's what I'm hoping. So let's talk about this full moon total lunar eclipse at 21 degrees, 9 minutes of Aquarius, Purva Bhadrapada. And so you see over here, this is the where the eclipse is happening. And Purva Bhadrapada is the scorching star. It represents the front legs of the funeral cot, showing that, issues of life and death often are accompanied with it, especially accidents. But it's a man with two faces. So it's a man that sees the future and sees the past at the same time. So he's a visionary. And so, for the United States, this is our third house of communication. I think for sure we're going to hear some more about the Epstein files during this time and maybe some other scandals that we did not necessarily have on our radar, okay? But what concerns me is opposite this, where we have K2, Sun, and Mercury all in Leo. And at the time of the full moon, we also have the midheaven and the Brigu Bindu point here. So this is a lot of energy to put upon Leo. And what I've discovered is that whenever we have a lot of planets in Leo like this, we get a lot of solar flares, which, if they are Earth facing, will project a coronal mass ejection towards Earth and disrupts our satellites, disrupts our health. There's lots of information about this online, how it affects your heart, your mental health. Yeah, so, I think also, because of this, we'll have some beautiful auroras. We've been seeing them further south, like such as Indiana. People have seen them in Texas. So if you're not aware, the Earth's magnetic field, is weakening. And this is why the auroras are seen further south now. So even though they're beautiful, it's not really something that we want, okay? And for this, this lunar eclipse, let's just review what is an eclipse, right? It is where either the sun or the moon obscures the light so that when it hits Earth, it is covering up the sun or the moon. For instance, the Earth either gets between the sun and the moon, or the moon gets between the sun and Earth. And so, it's blocked out, right? It's total, meaning that we will probably get a beautiful ring of fire around it. And being that it's in Aquarius, the ruler is Saturn. And so Saturn is retrograde, and for the United States, it's in the fourth house. So this is the house of the homeland. So there's going to be a lot of uproar about the government. I mean, all of these planets in the 10th house for the United States are ascendant in Sagittarius, shows that the government and officials are in a lot of a hot mess, let's just say. And the people are not happy about the cults and the scandals coming out. And even the people in MAGA that have been following Trump are not happy with what's going on. So it's going to be real interesting, what this reveals, because eclipses always reveal to us what was previously in the shadows and what needs to come to light. Because the eclipse, Rahu and Ketu, eclipse points are shadow points, right? So when we have our eclipse, things come out of the shadows that we didn't see before. So if your moon, ascendant, or even sun is in Aquarius, you will feel this. If your Rahu or Ketu are in either Aquarius or Leo, you will feel this, depending on your house placement. And at the time of the eclipse, from where I am, it's happening in Scorpio. Now, DC is about 6.5 minutes ahead, so it's still in Scorpio Anurata. And Anurata is about friendship and devotion, but it can also be about obsession. Yes. Scorpio is where the moon is debilitated and Rahu, so they get out of kilter in Scorpio. And so I think it's going to be very interesting to see if they really do come up with some kind of list of people. Um, you know, we have not seen it all yet, folks. Um, and so let's see. Mars is giving his fourth aspect onto Sagittarius. So you will probably feel that during this eclipse. He's also giving his eighth aspect to Aries. So Aries people will feel this eclipse. Saturn, his third aspect is Taurus. Taurus people will feel this. His seventh is Virgo. So Virgo people will feel it. And then his 10th aspect is Sagittarius. So those people will feel this as well. Um, yeah, and Jupiter's over here in the eighth house. So this is really good for investigative research, journalism. Dark things may come out because of Gemini. But Venus is in Cancer. Maybe this is our saving grace for this lunar eclipse. Venus loves to be in Cancer. She does best in the fourth house that's ruled by the moon, and the moon rules Cancer. So I feel like Venus in the ninth is asking us to put our faith into our home and family and things that give us emotional support and nurturing. Okay. And Venus in Ashleisha is, well, it's ruled by Acubens. So there could be some more scandals coming out with women. We could hear more about Ghislaine Maxwell. So this is, it's not going to be a totally mild lunar eclipse, but it's not going to be all that crazy either. But what concerns me is that Purva Bhadrapada, the star is Mark Hobb and Sheet. And so these stars bring a lot of accidents. So be careful of your face. Be careful of what shoes you're wearing. Try not to trip and fall, like things like that. It seems very mundane to say that, but I've seen so many accidents happen to people's faces when we have significant transits through this nakshatra. So just you're forewarned, okay? Oh, and one thing else I wanted to show you, this Mars in Virgo is still in opposition here. So this is definitely, Mars is going to trigger Saturn and Neptune. And so our health, please be careful of your health and make sure that you are doing things to strengthen your immunity. Okay. All right. So September 7th through the 16th, we have September 13th at 11:53 a.m. EST, we have Mars entering Libra, which is excellent because he's getting away from that opposition with Saturn and Neptune. And it kind of, Mars is the soldier, and in Libra, ruled by Venus, that's his enemy sign. So he has to learn how to make peace here. So I think it's actually a good thing. The next day at 2:48 p.m., we have Venus entering Leo. This is where we like to dress up and be glamorous and, socialize and be shiny and sparkly. So get out your best, clothes. Don't let them just sit in the closet waiting for a special day. But Venus will be with K2 at that time. And Venus and K2 together is like a very romantic combination. They're very idealistic about their love. Venus rules women and beauty and relationships, but also our self-worth. And with K2 there, we're kind of, I don't want to say losing our self-worth, but reassessing our self-worth and really getting to the bottom of where that source is. So, just let go of everything that is pulling your self-worth down. That's the best thing I can say with Venus and K2 together. And the next day, on the 15th at 1:37 a.m. EST, we have Mercury entering Virgo. Now, he loves to be in Virgo. This is a sign of exaltation. Can produce some anxiety, but not as much as in Gemini. But Mercury in Virgo is excellent for writing. Excuse me. And now that Mars is away from there, we're not arguing as much. So this is a great time to, if you've been working on a book or whatever, if you are a writer, this is a great time for you. And exaltation, we're able to think clearly and put our thoughts into words. This does put Mercury opposite that Saturn and Neptune, both retrograde, which is making us really think hard about our plans to make our dreams a reality. So that's a beautiful thing. And then the next day, it's September 16th at 4:18 p.m. EST. We have the sun entering Virgo, and I have that back here as the background. So happy birthday to all of the sun in Virgos. Thank you for your tenacity and your ability to put those thoughts into words and inspire us with your writings. Sun and Virgo people are also they have an affinity for health and healing and things like that. So it's a happy birthday to everybody. Okay, so there's really nothing between, that third week. And so we've got September 21st at 3:53 p.m. EST. We have the new moon partial solar eclipse at 4 degrees, 52 minutes of Virgo, Uttara Falguni. And so you see here, moon is with sun, making the new moon, and then Mercury's here, as we discussed, and the opposition is up here. So isn't it interesting? We're at the very end because, our eclipses last year were Pisces and Virgo. But this is a partial solar eclipse, so it's not in Leo yet. That will be the next set of eclipses in the spring. So we're still dragging in this Virgo energy. And I swear, I'm so tired of talking about Uttara Falguni because what I found is I had, when the eclipses were here solidly, here come all the Virgos, here come all the Pisces. The past 6 months, it's been here come all of the Aquarians and here come all of the Leos to get readings from me, right? So last year I was talking so much about Uttara Falguni. So the star of patronage, it's ruled by Aryaman and the sun, and the fixed star Denebola, which is on the tail of the lion. And so unfortunately, these people have a lot of people trying to ride in on their coattails. They're so generous. Sometimes, not from an altruistic place, like they kind of want the recognition. But that's more on the Leo side. On the Virgo side, they really are very helpful. But unfortunately, takers love givers. And so Uttara Falguni people really have to learn to not overgive. Because what happens is if you do too much for somebody else, then they are not, getting the spiritual growth from doing it themselves. And then you take on their karma, right? And so, we don't want that. So this solar eclipse is going to be revisiting those issues we went over last year of all of that. Okay. But it is in Virgo, which has to do with health. And so, but Mercury's here and it rules that sign. So I think that's excellent. And maybe we're finally going to hear some definitive news about these cults, things like that. But on a personal level, look where Virgo is in your chart. And for the day, the ascendant is Sagittarius, and that puts all of these planets into the 10th house of the day. So a lot of this is about career. You may hear something about your career. You may get some writing done for your career. Yeah. And what else is going on here? Well, like I said, Venus is now in Leo with K2. And, like I said, these eclipses are not terrible. It's not like this earth-shattering stuff. It's more like information coming out of the closet, right? So just keep your eyes and ears open. Look to where, Virgo is for you. And then, of course, Aquarius for the previous lunar eclipse, okay? So I feel like, we're all kind of getting ready for Jupiter to go into Cancer in October. He's at the very end of Gemini, which is excellent. I can't wait. So this is kind of like wrapping up things from the last year and a half with this placement and getting ready for new things. Okay, so if you are interested in getting a reading with me, I do in-person readings at the Fountain Square Mall, Suite 250 in Bloomington, Indiana. Just go to my website, hindustanastrology.com, to make um, a booking. And if you don't want to do it, if you can't do it in person, we can do it on Zoom. No problem. So that is a separate thing. You will click on either Vedic astrology, tarot, or Reiki for for online. For in-person readings, you will click on in-person readings. So thanks for participating. And now let's do some tarot for this month. So the first card I drew is Queen of Swords, Mother of Swords in the South, reversed. So this is the Egyptian goddess Nut. She is the creator goddess of the sky, and she came together with the earth and created, beings on the earth. Nut is about really contacting the mysteries of life, right? Really getting back into the mythologies and, understanding our origins from the sky. Could also talk about ET, UFO stuff. Our lunar eclipse is in Aquarius, and Purva Bhadrapada definitely talks about psychic things, otherworldly things. Um, And, Queen of Swords cuts away things that we don't need. What was I talking about? Cutting away, um, Venus K2 together, things that aren't helping our self-worth. That's what this is about, cutting away the old, and especially for eclipse season, this is very pertinent, okay? And reverse cards, um, like I said, it's things, we're reviewing things from the past year and a half and letting go. So use that sword of truth to cut away. Now we've got Six of Swords, science, as the middle card. And this has to do with, well, I think it's really talking about that Mercury in Virgo exalted. This is 100% about learning new things, about studying, about, taking tests. Learning. It's an excellent time to learn new things with Mercury in Virgo. And then our last card, we have Mother of Stones in the West, Queen of Stones, Spider Woman, and in Sioux, that is Unchi Iktomi. She is grandmother spider, and she created the universe. So isn't it interesting? We have the um, two of the female deities that are said to have created the universe. Now, the Sioux say that she created it as a spider web. And so this is spider season. Ironically enough, September is, at least here in Indiana, it's spider season. So really, honor spider. What webs have you woven around yourself? Maybe there's like a big juicy fly there that you've been waiting for. Maybe all of your hard work is finally paying off and you're catching things in your trap. That's a wonderful sign. And also, Scott, I know a lot of people are scared of spiders, but if you can, try to honor them in a way that, doesn't frighten you, we do have Halloween coming up, but it is about you are the creator of your life. Yes, we honor creator, but creator wants us to take charge and to do as he does and be positive and create new things in our life. So pay attention to, you may have caught something in your web, but with eclipse season, this really is about tearing away the cobwebs of the past that aren't serving us anymore and creating new strands of communication and connection. Um, so I hope that helps you guys. Don't forget, I do tarot as well. If you are somebody who likes both mediums, I do a combination reading where I start with tarot, we go into your chart, and I'm a psychic medium, so as messages come through, I relay them, and it works really well. So that is the combination reading over on my website. So I hope that helps you guys, and until next time, see you later. Bye.